Appreciate you taking some time out of the day. What I think is the most important thing, or certainly one of the most important things for a restaurant, and that is your number one sales tool, which is your menu experience. It's by far the most visited page on your site online. It's by far the most things that people share in terms of food and drink imagery across social, SMS, etc. As we get into this, I'm a simpleton. We may own a tech company. I'm one of the founders of Pop Menu, but I think about things in a very simplistic way. And I think about when my wife is making decisions about where we're going to have dinner, where we're going to meet people for brunch. And as I consult with restaurants, if you think about your website experience, and if you know that 97% of people go to one specific page, it's logical to think that you would put your best foot forward and your most emphasis and resources behind making that the best experience possible. And that's your menu. If I've never been to a restaurant before, or I haven't been in a long time, I'm going to look at you online to see what you have. What is your menu? What are your specials? What are other things that are new to the establishment that I can choose from? So what we're going to talk about today is Pop Menu has and will always strive to be the gold standard when it comes to menu technology and data. The menu is a great way to change yourself aesthetically, but the reality is it's far more than that if you think about it. If you do it the right way and make it dynamic, which we have done, which we invented, and which we've expanded on here and you'll see today, it's not just something that looks better, but it's incredibly performant. As I consult with restaurants around the country, there's a lot of information coming at you. A lot of times it's misguided, people showing search results and things from other countries. It's a lot of things you gotta ask yourself what's real. There is no doubt that the menu is the primary decision point for a guest. And so what I'm going to show you is that if you think about your menu as a static business card, you will continue to get static business card results. If you think about it as a sales engine, both for an immediate transaction, but also a future transaction, then you will start to get sales engine results. It is not more complicated than that. So today we're going to walk you through this next evolution or revolution in the menu space, which is what we rolled out in Chicago at NRA. And I will say we've had unbelievable response. This is not a Pop Menu customer. I have never been to this place. I just randomly selected it online. I'm sure it's solid. We would love to work with them. So if you know them, let them know that I was talking about them. This is a random restaurant. I did Best Italian in an area of greater Chicagoland. This is what you've continued to see for decades, a static menu experience. Consumers want visual content, social validation, could be rankings, reviews, something that says this is a great place to go. And if you don't get the whipped ricotta, you've really missed out. They want one-click path to ordering or transacting with you. They want one click to share it with their friends to make group decisions. All in all, consumers are looking for more information. And then the way they're consuming that content today has changed drastically. Just think about Instagram and TikTok and all these things, regardless of your cuisine category. And as we've highlighted for the last decade, is not only is the consumer not getting what they want here, the business owner is missing out on so many things. They're limiting their ability to drive free traffic. And I think that's the first responsibility of any responsible partner of yours is can they drive more people to your business online? The second thing will be, can they do something to help change the conversion rate? Meaning once people get to you, are they able to have an experience that converts more of those visitors into the transaction path? It's hard to do that if you look the same as everybody else. It's hard to do that if you're not highlighting things that you know will pull people in and giving you a shot at being your customer. And again, it's hard to be a repeat customer if I can't get you in the first time. So our first evolution was, hey, why can't we incorporate visual content? Why can't there be rankings and reviews, something that helps influence other consumers and also allows me to gain more insight into the individual user? So I know that Jenny, she came from here, she's interested in the whipped ricotta, and she's told me that it's her favorite dish. That's a valuable piece of data that we've shown for 10 years can drastically change the performance of your marketing campaigns. Because ultimately our third responsibility, and I think the third responsibility of any valid partner, is can I get Jenny to come back 10 times a year to the order path versus 5 or 6? It's hard to do that if I don't know Jenny. Certainly it's harder if I don't know Jenny or her preferences, things she loves, things she wants to try, or her engagement history. We've shown and proven that you can do those things. What we've evolved to is something far greater. What I want to show you first here is, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. When you think about how you're evaluating your business, There are some basic things you can do using third-party resources. Don't get it from somebody who's trying to sell you all the time and might be positioning something in a way that's not totally accurate. SimilarWeb is a third-party service. We have no relation to them. You can plug this in for free, and you can go see, hey, how long are people staying on my site? What's the average duration of a visit here? How many average pages are they looking at during a visit? Reason why I say that is whether you're choosing a restaurant, applying for a job, or you're shopping online, one of the most basic and common or top aspects of conversion is how long are people staying with me? The longer they engage with me, the greater the chance I have at converting them into being my customer. This is the first one was not our customer. That was the one we just looked at. This is one of our customers based in Chicago. Now, you always have varying results based on your location. Obviously, having more content and things for them to evaluate are factors, but you can clearly see here the average duration in this case is 10 times greater for a restaurant in the same vicinity as the one I just showed you. There are certainly other factors, but I know that we've given Hampton Social the best opportunity at capturing those guests and ultimately getting them to come back. So that's something to think about, because as I go to our evolution here, this is the new menu experience that we're rolling out here today. And we roll this out in Chicago. We've had record sales on the back of that NRA. And what you see is an experience that is first and foremost at the most basic level differentiated. It's different than anyone else on your block. It's different than anyone else in your city or your state. Facts. What you see is consumers are digesting digital content in a much different way than they have historically. Think about Instagram and TikTok, like I just mentioned before, but something that's far more interactive, something that isn't just solely menu items. Maybe you want to promote offers or loyalty programs. Maybe you want to go in here and let's show them an item here that incorporates reviews that we're pulling in, either first party or from Google, automatically here for the consumer. Nutritional facts, dietary restrictions or allergens, excuse me. All these things are meant to educate the customer and provide a differentiated experience. So when I land on the local kitchen, my chances of capturing Joe go up dramatically. I think it's fair to say at the most basic level, with my friends, my spouse, with me personally, am I more likely to engage with this than the other one? And the answer to that is clearly yes. We've proven it already. Now with an enhanced experience that provides even more information in a more highlighted fashion, it's clear to say that we expect the average duration to go up, which means we expect our conversion rates for our clients to continue to climb. There's a lot more other things happening on this page. So here you see the incorporation of an ad reel. The menu, if I'm looking at your menu, the great thing about restaurants is I'm looking today about tonight or tomorrow or this weekend. Oftentimes I'm researching for a more immediate decision. Very rarely am I looking at a restaurant and thinking about a month out, unless maybe I'm going on holiday or going to a new market and I'm starting to plan my trip. But here you can see the incorporation of this ads reel. So what we think is, hey, while I have you front and center, while I have your attention, why not offer a future revenue opportunity? I'm promoting limited seats to a wine pairing event, or maybe we're showing the UFC fight next weekend. Why wouldn't I want to capture that? While I have them, why wouldn't I want to promote that? You're seeing that we're doing those things here. Now, if I scroll down, you can see our ability to pull in reviews here. Obviously, we have first-party reviews attached to the individual items, which are great at influencing guest behavior, but it's also telling the search engines, the AI summaries, hey, there's something good happening here. That's valuable content. Let's rank them high up on our search results. Here you can see we've taken this and we've changed the dynamic here. Now, I'm sure you're asking, how in the world do you get that here? Well, let's say, for example, you already have video content. We take that, we can condense that, and we incorporate that into the dish card. Moving forward, you'll have an option where we can pull from Instagram if you created this type of reel, and we can label that dish item. We can incorporate those types of things here. And one of the nice benefits of AI so far, in addition to just general content creation, is you can take still image of your steak, and there are some tools that will give it just a tad bit of animation. It is still authentic. It is still your item. We do not use fake imagery, nor do we encourage you to do that. But if you have a great image, adding a tiny bit of animation can drastically change somebody's attention and ultimately get them to engage in this item. If I am selling a steak, I think this gives me an opportunity to capture the guest versus other people. And this is obviously something that's also new. It's exciting. And this is something that, remember, guests can share and easily promote to their friends Again, that is one way to expand the brand and capture more audience for you. I think if I'm a smaller operator, this gives me an opportunity to truly differentiate in my experience without having to pay thousands of dollars to do so. And obviously, if I'm a larger brand, it's a great opportunity for me to showcase things like high profit, signature dishes and things of that nature. So I love this. This is making me hungry. So I want to highlight a few other features here. But here you can see the incorporation of an AI agent. So this is something that can handle soft selling, FAQs, things of that nature. This can all be handled through AI. We know what's happening in the business. We can see your content and information. We can answer questions without disturbing what might already be a stressed labor staff. It's a great guest experience. If I don't have to pick up the phone, wait on hold, or any of those types of things, that's an experience that I appreciate. Again, I think about it for a smaller operator, say 1 to 5 locations. It also continues to professionalize your operation. All these little things are hinting to the consumer, this is a polished place to go. It looks great. They've got their act together. Yes, I'm going to do a catering gig from them. These are all the little things that we're addressing here. We're changing the appearance. We've incorporated more opportunity for the consumer to engage with you and for you to highlight things in a different way. All that activity is also, again, telling Google and the search results and AI summaries, hey, there's a good thing here and we should continue to rank them high. I want to show you a few other nice touches. Let's scroll up here to the top. You'll notice the ability to change between light and dark mode, right? These are nice little features, very modern opportunities. Again, we want them to engage with you. We want them to stay on your site, and we want to steer them to things that we know or you know are going to capture their attention and convert them and give you the best opportunity. You have a lot of functionality or options here. Maybe I want a slightly more discreet look, a more list type view. Or maybe I'm more fine dining and I don't have pictures for every item and I want something to be a little bit even more subtle. You have a lot of options with this layout. The menu is the primary decision point for guests. There's nobody that could logically or with a straight face debate that. They will give you a lot of other reasons why you should think about other things. That's because they don't have this. And the truth is, if I go look at search results, if you worked with us before, if you're a current client, or maybe if you're new, one of the things that's different about us is we basically treat each item, each dish, each cocktail, each event like its own independent web page. And every one of those things has their own reviews and other content that's associated with it. So what that means is we're giving Google significantly more content to index. Not only is it best dinner in River North or best Mexican in Houston, but if somebody starts running more long tail searches, more specific searches, best chicken parm in North End, best fried green tomatoes in Charleston, the individual item has an opportunity to show up. There are a lot of people out there using these tools to try and give you information. They're running searches from out of the country and doing other things. What I always tell people is go run searches in your area. See if your restaurant is showing up for your geography, your cuisine category, and for some of your most common items or most known items, and see if you're showing up. And then also see who else is showing up. You'll notice that the best Mexican in Atlanta, pop menu customer, there's a reason for that. There's no gimmicks. There's no misguided information. The menu is the primary decision point for consumers. If you have a dynamic experience, which includes all of that content, and you structure it in a way that's very unique, like we have at Pop Menu, this is what happens for customers. Our first responsibility, again, is can your restaurant show up high in a search result? Once I get them there, I'm going to show them that new menu technology. That is the recipe for success. Best steak in Houston. These are Pop Menu customers, just to give you some perspective. So it's not just show. You want something that looks great, but it needs to be performant. If I run a more long tail search like best brunch in Chicago, the first one listed with a map pen is Hampton Social. If I run best shrimping or best Oreo milkshake in Chicago, JoJo's is our customer, and here we go to JoJo's milkshake. So what I always say, again, optimize your reach. You do that through search results, consumer guest sharing. When they get there, you've worked so hard to get that customer to you, you can ill afford, especially in today's environment, for them to not get things that they want, to see something that looks the same or worse than your competition. You've just paid to get somebody there without actually them joining your community of followers. And again, once they are here, we want them to join us We want them to tell us things that they love. And this is a great way to build up the community. So optimize your reach, improve your conversion rate, learn about them so then we can remarket to them. I'll stop there. I went a mile a minute because this is supposed to be a bite-sized webinar. I think we had a couple people with their hand raised and maybe some questions. I'm happy to answer them if we need to. At this time, we have to send videos to you to upload. Yes, you should send us whatever video content that you have today. Again, in the very near future, if your Instagram and those types of things are integrated, we will have the opportunity to pull from them depending on how they're labeled. But yes, if you have video content today, send them to your CX person or your growth specialist. We'll make sure we get them into your back end and we can get you into the build process. Joe, I think you're available. We got one from Francisco. What about the wait load time for videos? We invest a lot in speed and latency. Joe, if Joe's on, maybe he can help answer that in a more technical manner.
Yeah, it auto scales. In our testing, we've had long videos and they high quality videos, high size videos, and they load without issues. So the loading time is quick, and usually the next videos can be preloaded. So as that one video you're watching is finishing up, it easily blends into the next video and starts the next one without any interruption. Yeah,
great. Lucy, our descriptions and images of Pop Menu are imported from Toast. Is that integration still available with these new capabilities in Pop Menu? Yes, but Joe, is there any sort of thing to add on to that with some of the real content?
No, I mean the items will be imported, and the syncing still takes place. And then so as you saw in the reel, when you're watching that video, there's an add to cart button, and when you select that, it will funnel you into the ordering flow. And if there's multiple locations for the restaurant, they'll just have to select location, and once they do that, that item will automatically pop up, and they can continue on ordering. It doesn't matter what location they select, that item will show up.
Awesome. And then Mitchell, with regards to videos and animations, will there be any kind of time restraints or video quality restraints to the videos and animations? I guess I think he's asking Joe like a limit on how long the reel can be or what have you.
Yeah, we're looking at like 100 megabits, but we haven't put a hard limit on it just yet. We're testing a variety of scenarios, but we haven't put a limit on the link just yet.
ADA compliance, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, our sites are built ADA conformant. We have built-in redundancy systems. So if one of your users posts an image or a reel or anything like that cause you to come out of compliance, we monitor that. We do what we can to fix it, or we alert you. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that, Joe, other than we're following the.
Yeah, we definitely followed ADA compliance on this. There are some things we can't do. Like we actually had an autoplay functionality like you're seeing here. We're reworking that a bit because with ADA, you can only do a max of about 5 seconds. These autoplays you're seeing here just played the whole reel. So we're working through that. You need a play pause button for that experience. So that part we had to take out, but we've done ADA compliance. We've put it all through the ringer on those.
Yeah, great. And then Francisco asked about vertical or horizontal. I mean, typically on our existing menu structure, horizontal tends to display better. Is there a difference with some of these, Joe? Like, will vertical be? Vertical still works with us as well, but I don't know if there's a preference on this new layout based on the new dish card.
Yeah, so you'll want. I mean, it will be nice if you upload them as vertical, but the system will auto crop it if it is horizontal.
Great. I think for our existing clients today, we're largely looking at this as a natural progression. There will be some factors for some folks, but for the most part, it would be minimal or no cost whatsoever. Brad, what does the rollout plan look like? Will it update automatically as of a certain date, or we need to push and update? So right now, we've got our first batch kind of getting prepared in the system. We literally just rolled this out in Chicago at the NRA show. So if you want to be in the queue for that transition, just let us know. And then I think there's, depending on the content that you have or don't have, we would need to do some of those types of things. And then, Joe, we would handle the transition once we had the content and they were ready to go in the queue. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then once we're stress testing some beta clients at the moment, and then once that's finished, it'll just be released and everyone can access it and start playing around with it and upload it. And this can be added, like the reels you see, those videos, those can be added to any page on the site. So that's just a section in
Right.
our web builder. Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to put it on a menu. You could put it on the home page. It does look nice at the top of the menu here, but
Right.
you're free to kind of put that wherever.
That's great. And I think they'll
Yep.
still have opportunities, right? Like in a regular menu, if they want to highlight like featured dishes and things like that. So they have the structure of that too, I think. So that'd be great. Will the For You content also be targeted in the AI marketing plan on Instagram and such? Joe, do you know that one?
What was the question?
It's from Anonymous.
Say
Will
it.
the For You content be also be targeted in the AI marketing plan? So AIM.
Eventually, not at launch. It won't be at launch, but that is something that we'll look at. Right now, these are built as uh, I wouldn't say static, but you kind of build it and leave it here for the most part. And then what we'll be adding is more of an ease of use to where you can kind of cycle through these, that you can set them to expire, things like that. But yeah, that's the idea, is to include that in the marketing.
Great. Darren, have you seen a difference between organic videos versus produced videos? Oop, where'd it move to? When it comes to reactions and pops. Um, I don't know that we've had enough video content where we've got the data on that outside of like the normal social use, obviously, on like from the menu perspective. What we have seen in our general back-end marketing tools is we have an opportunity where if I think, I don't know if this is the right correlation or not, but when people are using the AI tool to create the content, we're actually seeing those social posts, for example, outperform the manually generated posts. I think in general, we've seen, Liam, I don't know if you're on here, you're more on the marketing side in the general topic of the performance between organic video versus produced content. I think it varies depending on the several factors. I don't know if there's anything you would add to that.
Yeah, I would say ultimately it just comes down to having some video is going to be better than having no video. If you've got the time and the budget to bring someone in and create some produced content, I think that's really going to wow folks and be super impactful. But if all you have is, maybe a light and the phone on your camera, that's going to be just as good.
Great. Awesome. There's some great AI tools out there. I mean, there's so many stuff right now. I always tell people, if nothing else, start learning and seeing how you might be able to use some of those tools today to move fast and really, really inexpensively. Anonymous attendee, integrate with WhatsApp or text interference and show our menus. I'm guessing you might be in the UK. We are all over the WhatsApp. I lived in London for a long time. We're very clear on its usage over there. So we are actually working through several different things with WhatsApp and how to integrate that, both in terms of how it's performing for our clients to their guests and also how we communicate with our clients. So more to come on that. I can get tutorials to generate these menus. Yeah, I think we're working on that content. I don't know if our marketing team wants to speak to that. If not, there will be some comms going out that will explain this exactly what would be needed to bring this to life and what that process looks like. So I love all these questions. This is fantastic. Tim, please state again what would be the best way to get this rolled out for a restaurant. I would let them know that you're ready. You'd like to be added to the queue to move over to this tech. If you don't have content already loaded, both photos and or any sort of reel or video content, send what you have. We'll put it into the back end MyPop for you. If you're lacking content, there are options where we can assist you or point you in the right direction so we can get you content at a very inexpensive rate. So yeah, just let your contact know. If you're unsure for whatever reason who that person is, message me and we'll get it taken care of. Don, if we need to have new content creators. Yeah, I think when new content created, I think one, again, it's both the real video, but also quality imagery, right? As you can see attached to these individual dish items. I always tell people there's a few things. One is we can help you. So, for far less expensive than you get traditionally in the market, we have services that we can do for you or connect you with that will get you some great new content for a very, very good rate. I always recommend to people always say, do I need pictures for every item? No, you don't need to. I think if you have great imagery, you want to get as much of that as you can. My recommendation, or at least my personal feeling on it, is you want to have at least a few in each category: starters, salads, appetizers, desserts, events, and that kind of stuff. Certainly for signature items that remain on the menu constantly, things like that, I would always invest in that. So we have services. There are certain things now you can do with phones and some of the AI tools you might want to explore depending on your personal expertise there. and that your CX specialist can also help you. We can show you some tools that we've come across where you can plug in some of your imagery and play around with it. You can even plat some stuff into ChatGPT, to be honest with you. So I think play around with it. You'll find that it's really pretty easy, and it'll probably produce some really good results without having to incur a lot of costs. I think what you're asking for is a consolidated view of how the various concepts are performing, and then do we have benchmark data to say, are you adding followers at the same rate as somebody else? The answer to that is yes. Some of that's automatically in there. Some of that we can pull for you, a bit more manual. The data that we have is significantly greater depth than any front-end provider. We know things like where you're coming from, what you've engaged with. We can see the correlation between when somebody receives an automated communication to their order rate. We can see the types of items they're ordering and clicking on and make assumptions about that person being vegetarian or what have you. What that ultimately does allows us to feed the marketing engine, because I do believe where we are headed, certainly Pop Menu as an organization, but I think in general, you should be thinking out about your business. It's clear through our data that when you know just a little bit more about somebody, your open rates and click rates go up dramatically. Our email automation today drastically outperforms any email tool in the country, and that's with dispassionate data. That's hundreds of millions of emails, so we have a large data set. And it's very clear that just knowing a little bit more information gives you better performance. So we can take that information to say, this person has ordered 8 times in the last 12 months. 7 of those items have contained pork dishes or whiskey or Oreos, whatever. We know that they like to order on the weekends, so we can automatically create a message that you can send on Wednesday reminding them of these 2 new pork dishes or Oreo dishes, like things like that. I don't know why I chose those items, but hopefully that made a little bit of sense. We do offer, in general, free site design refreshes every 18 to 24 months. If you want it, you should always do that, even if it's just little touches to update the aesthetics or change the layout a little bit. Feels like a new site for both you and the consumer. Does Pop Menu currently only have pop reviews showing? If not, how do we get Google or Yelp? So on the new menu, so on the current menu, yes, we have first-party reviews. That's what you see when you click on an individual dish item and you see reviews attached to that specific item. Those are first-party reviews. In our back-end tool, we do pull in Google reviews and other places where you can approve and respond to those things in your MyPop, your back-end instance. With this new menu layout, what you're seeing is our ability to also incorporate Google reviews. I do not believe there's any intent to incorporate Yelp reviews, only Google and first party, unless I'm wrong, Joe.
Yeah, just Google. And what we'll do is we're going to be analyzing those reviews to find those specific items called out, because the review in Google is just a review of your restaurant, but they may mention a certain dish. And so if we can get a quote from that, we'll pull those out, attach them to that dish, and that way it can kind of cycle through. And then it'll also link to it as well if they want to link to that review to see the full review.
Awesome. I think when you have, a lot of our customers will have as many or more reviews on their own sites, their menu pages, than third party combined, depending on, location and how many locations you have. But certainly having first party reviews, which are incredibly powerful, and Google reviews, you have a really large portion of the market already covered there. Obviously, pulling in things like open table reviews in the back end is also very powerful. So I think I'm getting towards the end here. I'll tell you, there's a few things we're working on today. We have an AI marketing calendar that today it produces an entire month's worth of marketing activity for the restaurant across email, social, and SMS. It's automatically done for them. They can go in there, they can change it or reject it. But the number one challenge with restaurants is they lack consistency in their marketing message. And there's a direct correlation between the consistency of your marketing and things like transactions and follower capture. Because we have so much data, we are building more segmented aspects of the marketing and the ability to calendar things out in a much more professional way. And a lot of it is done for you. A basic example might be today our AI marketing calendar sends a text, next Thursday, and that goes to the masses. Think about next, a month from now on that Thursday, there's one text message going to the 84 people that love, the shrimp po' boy. And there's another 12, text going to 12 people who went to the last trivia night, 3 weeks ago, and it's inviting them to come back. So because we have so much data, the ability for us to produce more segmented content, which naturally produces better. So those are some basic things. I'll tell you that our catering feature, which today is already, I think, great, the catering online solution. We're adding that so there's other capabilities like invoicing, more of a communications channel, and other things like that. It's really, really slick. I don't see really any POSs that have it today. And it's something that's a big differentiator. So those are a couple of things that we're looking at. AI phone service, yes, we've been scoping Spanish forever. I don't know if you're in Miami, but we've been scoping that forever because of pockets in like South Florida and Texas and California where their customer base that's their preferred entry path. Nothing imminent there, but there are some things we've been exploring. I'm hoping to have something in the not too distant future. I still got a few more. I still would just emphasize to those folks that our core menu tech today is still it's phenomenal and it performs. That's the biggest thing. It performs. So if you are not a Pop Menu customer and you still use a PDF or static text, even if you don't choose Pop Menu, definitely encourage you to look at what options are out there for you to change that menu experience. It will have a big impact on your business. Again, we appreciate the time. Thanks to all our existing customers and their excitement. When you chose with us, we said we weren't going to sit still. I'm excited about this evolution here. I'm excited to get it to life and see the results. So we appreciate you guys joining, and we'll be in contact for sure. Again, my email is tony@popmenu.com for anybody that wants to connect. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.